Good morning, and thanks for joining me this morning on Minding Your Health, the show that helps you find ways to take back control in issues regarding your mental and your physical health. I'm Roberta Fernandez, a board-certified hypnotist and a certified hypnosis instructor at the Fair Hypnosis Center in Eden Prairie. And I'm really glad to be with you. A big shout out to MnDOT this morning for getting those roads clear so I could get in here safe. Hopefully most of you are home and cozy and tucked in for the morning until those roads are clear. We're going to be taking calls this morning at 952-946-6205, and we would love to hear from you. Today, I'm going to be talking about those pesky New Year's resolutions that perhaps show up on your list year after year. And in a few minutes, we have a guest this morning in the studio. Roxanne Keys is an ontological coach and owner of the Center for Life Design in Excelsior. We'll be talking with Roxanne after the first segment today. So the question for today is, why do those same New Year's resolutions keep reappearing on your list every year? Every year, the list is pretty consistent. The top dozen repeats include things like losing weight. That's usually always number one, closely followed by being healthier or exercising, quit smoking, drink less, get out of debt, save more money, get organized, manage stress better, stop procrastinating, spend less time on Facebook or watching TV. What's the commonality of all these things? Well, as a hypnotist, I find that the things that all of these resolutions have in common is that they are emotionally related and that they involve habits. So there's a few things that come into play with resolutions that we're going to be talking about throughout our segment today. Beliefs, distractors, and habits. So let's start with looking at each one of those things. Sometimes we don't know what our beliefs are. I talk to a lot of people and say, why do you think that way? And it causes them to pause and say, I don't know. I guess my parents thought that way. Or, I guess I get that from my grandparents or my third grade teacher. Sometimes we know where our beliefs come from, and sometimes we don't. Remember in the first couple of sessions, the last couple of shows, we talked about the critical factor in our mind. And this is a protective mechanism that forms when we're around 7 or 8 years old. And it prevents things from coming into our subconscious that are contrary to what our established beliefs are. So all of those things that we've taken in our very young formative years are in there somewhere. A lot of times they don't cause any problems, but sometimes they do. So this is why affirmations, or these resolutions that we make to ourselves after the first of the year, they work in the conscious mind to bolster beliefs that we might already have, but they're pretty ineffective if there's a conflict with beliefs that we may know about or we may not know about that we hold very close to us in our subconscious mind. We also use distractors: food, gambling, sexting, working too much, smoking, biting your nails. These are all unpleasant things in our lives that a lot of us want to learn to avoid, but they are simply distractors for what we call these too much behaviors. And these are many of the things that are on people's resolutions. When we have things in our life that we don't want to deal with. It might be emotional, it might be bring up unpleasant memories. We use distractors to avoid. A lot of people, for example, and we'll talk about weight because that's the number one thing on people's list at the beginning of the year. They think, I have a problem with food. You don't have a problem with food. You may have some bad habits around food, but food is just your distractor of choice. You could have chosen something else. You could have chosen, working long hours at work or going to the casino often, a multitude of different things to distract. You just chose food. A lot of times there's a reason why you've chosen that distractor. So what do you think develops when you keep doing these distracting things over and over again? Well, you may remember from the first show, we talked about habits. We have 100 billion neurons in our brain. And on average, each one of those neurons connects with 5,000 other. And so our brain and our body has to have a way to simplify this and deal with all this complexity. And so, what it does to be efficient is we form habits. And these are things that are just simply automatic thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. So, for example, you reach down and pick up your shoelaces. You don't think about what to do with those shoelaces, your brain knows. And before you know it, they're tied. So, your brain, because you have done it and learned how to tie through repetition, automates that task. A task of brushing your teeth in the morning. You don't pick up your toothbrush and think about, oh, I have to get it wet. Oh, I've got to squeeze the toothpaste. You don't think about any of that. You just brush your teeth. So many of our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are just automated. And the way your brain works, because it, again, wants to be efficient, it's going to default to the latest and greatest. So the good news for all of us about this is that old habits can be changed. They're just automated beliefs and thoughts. And we change our thoughts all the time, don't we? We change our mind. So we know that they can be changed and we can learn new habits. I also want to remind you that at the Fair Hypnosis Center, for those of you that are local, on January 10th at 6 p.m., I'm going to be doing a free public workshop called It Takes More Than a Resolution. And we're going to be exploring these things in great detail. I kind of laugh. On January 4th is World Hypnotism Day. And some people ask me, why January 4th? And I laugh and I say, well, he chose that because it takes about 4 days for the first resolution to be broken. So it doesn't take very long at all for that to happen. So that's our little bit on habits. And so we have a few minutes yet before we go to take our break. I want to introduce my guest this morning. I want to introduce Roxanne Keys. Roxanne Keys is an ontological coach. That's a big word, isn't it? And she's going to explain that to us. And she's owner of the Center for Life Design in Excelsior, Minnesota. She's also a certified massage therapist and certified in trauma touch. And I think I'll have Roxanne back later in the year to talk about that. Roxanne uses a holistic approach to healing, and she helps her clients by addressing the interrelationship of the mind and body to bringing balance into their lives. So you can see how hypnosis can be a really nice complement to what Roxanne does. So Roxanne, I'd like to welcome you to the show this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for braving the snow this morning. Hope you didn't have to dig out this morning. The plow guy came to your yard.
I know my neighbor. Woohoo!
Yeah, thank your neighbor. There you go.
Absolutely.
So tell me, Roxanne, what is ontological coaching?
Well, ontological coaching, the formal definition is ontology is a study of being. So ontological coaching is about coaching in ways of being as a means of producing quantum shifts in perception and behavior.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. So when I first started this, and I still grapple even now as an ontological coach, what is being? What does that mean? How do you coach on a beingness? And so it is about how are you being? What are you doing? Not what are you doing, but your beingness. So are you being closed-minded about something? Are you being argumentative? Are you being resistive? Are you being outgoing? Or are you being animated? Like I'm kind of animated right now. Or before when we were talking, I was nervous. So my beingness was about being nervous. So it's kind of that state of mind. It's that state of presence. What are you bringing forward? Kind of even what's your energy like?
Right. And we invest a lot of energy into habits, don't we?
Yes,
It really becomes who we are.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, and I know you know this, but for our listening audience, last week I talked about the FAIR acronym, which was focus, associate, repeat, and expect. These are 4 laws of our mind. And what we really focus on expands when we repeat those same behaviors over and over again through habits. And we invest passion into it, it becomes who we are.
And because it is who we are, we don't always understand and can break it down to getting to how we're being because we're so close to ourselves. So it's one of the reasons you might want to coach or you might want to go to you as a hypnotist is to find out what that beingness is. It's bringing that awareness and figuring that out.
Right. And we can't always see that, right? It's
Right.
like being in the forest and
Yes.
our nose is pressed up against the tree and we still can't see it, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
we are not always the best judge of
Correct.
who we are and the habits that we do have and what we do. And I see that in a lot of my clients too. They'll come in and they'll say, oh no, I have no problem with eating sweets. And when we start talking about their goals and their habits, it's like, wow, they're eating sweets all the time.
Right.
But it's become so much a part of their day to day that they don't even realize it.
Right.
You know,
And so you're bringing that unconscious behavior, that automated behavior
Yep.
to their consciousness. Just like how are you being about something, you're bringing it to their consciousness, taking something unconscious and moving it forward.
Excellent, excellent. And so when we do the coaching or when you do the coaching, I'm assuming one of the first things that you look at is listening to the words the client is saying, looking at their consistent behaviors so that you can start seeing what their patterns are from
Yes.
a totally different perspective than
Yep.
theirs.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, Roxanne, I am really excited to continue this discussion when we get back. For all of our listeners, I'm Roberta Fernandez, a board-certified hypnotist, and we're reminding you that hypnosis and coaching can help you be more productive and reach your full potential. And we're helping you take back control today by empowering you with this education. So when we come back, we're going to be talking more with Roxanne with the Center of Life Design and taking your calls. Do you want to sleep better, lose weight, have less pain, feel less stress, or get rid of a habit like smoking? At Fair Hypnosis, we help ordinary people with ordinary everyday problems. Hypnosis is a heightened state of awareness in which you're open to new thoughts and ideas that you really want. To get the change you desire, book an appointment today at fairhypnosis.com. That's FARE hypnosis.com.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. With breathtaking views of the Mississippi River, the Nicollet Island Inn features the comfort of the countryside right in the heart of Minneapolis. Perfect for weddings, seminars, or a romantic night out, the tasteful merger of classic decor with modern amenities will make your next event unforgettable. Call 612-331-1800 or visit NicolletIslandInn.com. Serving family favorites in Minneapolis since 1964, Milda's Cafe is a great spot for breakfast or lunch. Wake up with their delicious Eggs Benedict or biscuits and gravy and savor their many great lunch options. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Milda serves authentic Finnish pasties. Open weekdays 6 to 3 and now on weekends 8 to 2 on Glenwood Avenue, 4 blocks east of Penn.
Hi, this is Mike Papantonio from Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire is a direct, smart, and I gotta promise you, a fearless progressive talk show. Join me, Mike Papantonio, and my co-hosts Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Sam Cedar as we take on the large corporate conglomerates and that radical right-wing media that dominate America's airwaves. Ring of Fire, Saturdays from 3 to 6 and Sundays from 6 to 9 p.m. on AM 950. It is the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Dock and Lift Incorporated in Spring Park reminds us, no one anywhere is more noble, righteous, selfless, or courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families foot the bill for our freedom every day. We can show we appreciate their sacrifices. Send a military care package today to let them know that they are now and always in our thoughts and prayers. This message from Dock and Lift Incorporated in Spring Park. We live in the land of the free, thanks to the brave.
Bob Sorg here from 212 Pottery, having returned to my studio after a summer of creative and adventurous endeavors. But I've got my sleeves rolled up and back doing what I love the most, making pottery. Mugs, peanuts and shells, stew mugs. I'm working on them all and I cannot stop. I know I don't say enough about our charming selection of gifts, handmade jewelry, scarves, handbags, and wellness products for that special someone. We are open Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 4. See you soon at 212 Pottery, hot spot in a cool part of town.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Roberta Fernandez, and this is Minding Your Health here at AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We're taking calls this morning at 952-946-6205. And today we're talking about those pesky New Year's resolution. I've got Roxanne Keys, an ontological coach at the Center of Life Design in Excelsior, Minnesota. And we've started talking about, I started the session this morning talking about the emotional component of resolutions. And we're shifting gears now into the conscious mind, those habits that we have. And Roxanne, let's talk a little bit about how ontological coaching works.
Sure. Kind of a basic overview is that we all have a worldview, so how we perceive the world and ourselves in that world and other people in that world. And that worldview then supports the actions that we take, and those actions support our outcomes that we have and we get and receive, and then those outcomes continue and go back, loop back, and support our worldview. So, but the basics, too, of what makes up our worldview then are our thinking, our thoughts, our beliefs, our language. What do we say? What do we not say? How do we say it? And then our practices. So if we want to change our outcomes, like a New Year's resolution of I would like to lose weight, then I'm going to look at what is the actions you're taking towards that, and we're going to sink into the middle of it and look at what's the thinking, what's the language, and what are the practices, and then adjust those things, thinking, language, and practices, to then have a better outcome. And those practices often are what you talked about earlier, those automatic habits.
Right, right. And those things that people are not really aware that they're even doing.
Right.
So as a coach, how do you go about pointing those things out to a client?
There's a lot of talk. You come in and there's a intake, and so I spend a lot of time talking to the client about what it is that they really want to do. Mm-hmm. What is it that they want to have happen? And we spend time looking at opportunities, observing what the client needs, enrolling the client. Like, is this really something that you want to do? Do you want to invest the time? Do you want to invest the money? Do you want to invest the resources? Basically, we create a plan then with the client. We practice the plan, we monitor the results, we complete, we come back and repeat if needed. So we're identifying beliefs, and hopefully they've come to you already and changed some of those core beliefs.
Right, yeah.
So we're going to reinforce that. I'm going to want to know what those new beliefs are so that we can reinforce that. We're going to look at what their capabilities are, what's the current environment, what's their behavior, and we're going to come at it from a place of curiosity. It's always about curiosity.
I like that word. Let's
be curious about what's happening here in your life or with this situation, like losing weight or not being able to lose weight. Let's be open. Let's have a mind of exploration, which a mind of exploration and curiosity is a way of being.
Right.
Ties it back into what ontology means. And there's a lot of movement in this process too. We're constantly evaluating, we're constantly making adjustments. What I've often found with people is that we set our New Year's resolutions and they're set, and then they're left.
That's right.
And they're very black and white, and there's no movement in that. And so having a coach and having a hypnotist be part of the team, there's going to be a lot more movement there. There's going to be a lot more evaluation of that plan. And the coaching part of it builds in that sustainability too.
Well, and that's a really good point because it has to be sustainable for the client. I mean, life constantly gives us new stuff every day, and not
it's
all
totally
of it's good.
flexible. Right.
Right. And so a person who comes to me, I know, and that says, I'm never going to eat cheesecake again. Well, the reality is if I'm in Cheesecake Factory and that Godiva of a chocolate cake is there, it's
Yeah.
like, wow, just a little bite.
Right.
And then people get this all or nothing attitude.
Right.
Well, you know what? I really blew it today. I might as well just really blow it.
Right.
I'll start again tomorrow. And so what I know I find with a lot of my clients, it's about forgiving yourself because we are all human.
Yes.
And sometimes things are just not in our control. Maybe you go somewhere for lunch and you're starving, you're really physically hungry, and none of the things that are served to you are things that you really feel you should be eating. So what do you do with that? You have to eat.
Right.
Or you might be passing out.
Right.
So how do you make good choices, and how do you not beat yourself up afterwards?
Right.
Because I find that it's this all or nothing behavior that is not sustainable.
And that all or nothing, black and white behavior and thought processes also doesn't open up for choices. I mean, that's a really closed mindset. And so you can't really see that you have a choice here. Like if I'm at the cheese factory and there's this beautiful cake and I'm there with friends and I'm having a great time, well, I can choose. If I'm curious and I've built a plan that's sustainable, then I feel like I have more choices. I feel like I have more control.
Right.
That I can have this cheesecake this once and it's not going to wreck the whole thing, like
Right.
you said.
Right.
Or I can say, I'm really empowered to stick to this plan that I made for myself. I'm really committed. And so therefore, I'm not going there. Thank you, but no thanks, no dessert.
Right. Well, and you also realize I can still have a good time without it.
Right.
I can still be social. I can still be involved in my friends.
Right.
That habit, those old habits that I have, can be put aside. And I know in the last show when I talked a little bit about habits and kind of laid the groundwork for this, old habits never go away, I find. We just put them back up on a shelf somewhere and they get old and dusty and we forget about them. And our brain goes to the latest and the greatest.
Right.
And so what we want to do is continue to reinforce those habits, right?
Yes.
So that our brain starts defaulting to the thing that we really want.
The new thing.
The new thing that we really want.
Right.
That's exactly
Right.
right. And I think that is what's challenging for people. I know as a hypnotist, when we look at changing habits, we never try to break one. And, I always have to give the client something else.
Well, you'd want to replace
Correct.
a quote bad habit with a quote good habit.
Right. Because the fact of the matter is we still need something to
Right.
replace that void if we have to fill it with something positive.
Yeah, you can't just leave it open because then that leaves the door open for you to do what you've already always done and for your mind and your body to go back to being unconscious.
That's exactly right. And that always leads to trouble, right?
Yes.
Because it really is easy. And a lot of people, too, don't realize that, creating new habits just takes time. The jury's out on how much time. I think it depends on how persistent you are with replacing it with a new habit. But the guideline is around 7 to 8 weeks.
I think it's about your commitment.
Correct. That's exactly right. And how you feel about it. And so you really have to be ready
Right.
to make this. And
Right.
that's what you said when we started the segment. You want to make sure the client is mentally ready.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
So I'm Roberta Fernandez. We're talking with Roxanne Keys here on Minding Your Health at AM 950. When we come back, we're going to be talking more with Roxanne about the coaching process and how that might differ a little bit from therapy. I'm Roberta Fernandez, a board-certified hypnotist and the host of the Saturday show, Minding Your Health. author of Breaking Free from Pain and Opioids, Discovering the Hypnosis Option. Nearly 1/3 of all Americans suffer from chronic pain, and opioids kill almost 80 people a day. But there are options to using painkillers. Hypnosis has no negative side effects, and you can manage your own long-term care. In my book, I show you how to take back control of pain using self-hypnosis. Neuroscience has shown that the brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. So in hypnosis, we retrain your brain how to process pain. Breaking Free from Pain and Opioids, Discovering the Hypnosis Option tells you what you need to know. Find it today at fairhypnosis.com. That's F-A-R-E, hypnosis.com.
Holiday shopping is easy with holiday cheer and a great deal from the Park Tavern. Stop by the Park Tavern between now and December 31st and take advantage of an amazing offer. Buy a $100 Park Tavern gift card, and Park Tavern will give you an additional $50 gift card for free. Give it as another gift or keep it for yourself. This deal runs until the end of December. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, and online at parktavern.net, your holiday shopping is full of fun at the Park Tavern.
Litton's Party Value is your Christmas holiday party headquarters. Celebrate with family, friends, and coworkers. Litton's Party Value has the largest selection of Christmas-themed napkins, plates, table covers, and drinkware for your holiday parties. Litton's has a complete line of food service products, a large baking supplies section, and a huge selection of serving bowls and trays. Litton's Party Value is your downtown party store located 2 doors north of the Minneapolis Farmers Market with free parking, or shop online at partyvalue.com.
The holidays are here, and that means everyone you know will pop in at one time or another. Don't worry, there's still time to call the pros at Zero Res and have your home cleaned with their patented empowered water. And with the Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee, you can count on their professional team to do the job right.
Get 3 rooms pre-treated, clean, and sanitized starting at $144. Call 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMN.com. Zero Res, spell it backward or forward, it spells the same.
Proper eye care is extremely important. That's why it's imperative to have an eye physician you trust. At Origins Eye Clinic, Dr. David Bain offers comprehensive eye exams, medical eye exams, emergency services, and fittings for standard and specialty contact lenses of all types. Origins' educational approach will give you the tools you need to help keep your eyes healthy for a lifetime. Stop in and pick the pair that best fits your lifestyle. More at OriginsEyeClinic.com. Origins Eye Clinic. For health, for vision, for life.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Peter Lee. Cloudy today, a 20% chance of snow, highs around 6. Temperatures falling later in the day, northwest winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Much colder tonight, lows around -21. Cold Sunday, mostly sunny with highs around -6. The EatLocalMinnesota.com restaurant of the week is the Seward Co-op Creamery and Cafe. Menu featuring dishes ranging from vegetarian sandwiches to fresh burgers and hand-dipped ice cream supplied by Sonny's Ice Cream. 2601 East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at EatLocalMinnesota.com.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Roberta Fernandez, a board-certified hypnotist, and you are listening to Minding Your Health on AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We're taking calls this morning at 952-946-6205. Feel free to give a call and ask Roxanne a couple of questions. Get some free coaching advice here while you're on the air this morning. Roxanne and I were talking over the break about commitment on our clients and a short little conversation behind the scenes about willpower. And one of the things I like to tell my clients, Roxanne, is that, willpower is fast acting. It comes in short bursts. It isn't sustainable for the long term. And willpower will get you to take another route to work so you don't pass by your favorite donut shop on the way in. But if you find yourself in that donut shop, willpower's out the window. You've already made the choice to be in that donut shop, and you're going to have a donut.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit more about commitment.
Well, and that you're totally right that commitment's very short term, which is why a coach in hypnosis can help, because you're going to build a bigger plan around what it is that you really want. And sometimes, like I have on my resolution list every year, I want to lose weight. Well, this year I figured out that it's not, I really don't want to lose weight. That's not what I really, really want. What I really want is to have and sustain a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
And a healthier lifestyle looks totally different than lose weight. But I keep putting it up there because it's like the thing to do. And so part of coaching is that we really look at what is it that you really want. Because often our resolutions are exterior driven. I'm
Right.
fat. I look in the mirror, I think I look fat. And so then we come up with exterior solutions. I need to eat less. I need to exercise more. When what you and I are talking about from feelings, beliefs, and thinkings, that's interior stuff. So the first interior thing is to get at what is it that you really want here?
Right. And, I'm so glad you brought that up because my classic remark from a client, and I convey this to every client that comes in my office that wants to lose weight. Everybody puts down, I want to look better in my clothes. That's one of their goals. And
Yep.
we all want to look better in our clothes, but
Yep.
there's more to it than that, right?
Right.
So when I read that again for this woman and I looked at her and I said, so if you looked better in your clothes, how would that change your life?
Right. And how would you feel?
Right. And she said to me, it was so profound. I just love this because it really gets to the heart of what you're talking about. She paused for a minute and she said, I want my husband to watch me walk out the door again. And that isn't anything to do with
No.
weight. That is about intimacy and her
Yes.
connectedness and her relationship.
Yes.
And that is what changes her life. That is what gives her goal of losing weight meaning.
Right. It's the power behind the why, which is what you're looking for, what we're
Right.
looking for. And then you can put the sustainability into it. You build a plan around that.
Right.
Wanting my husband to watch me walk out the door.
Right.
Because that's what then she remembers when she says, I think I'm good. I don't want that piece of cheesecake.
You're reading my mind. You're reading my mind. And it makes it easier then when you have the right goal
Yes.
and the feeling
Yes.
behind that because it is emotion that drives everything, isn't it?
Everything. Yeah.
Everything.
And one of the things, too, that I like to remind my clients when they come in, because I think we all forget this, is that every single person already has the answer within themselves.
Absolutely.
I am just there to help facilitate it come out, like asking the right question.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to change your life? I also believe, and I think as women, we don't hold this as well, that we're already whole and complete as we are. It's like, wow, how amazing and powerful is just that? And we really want to build around that and take that as you're already whole and you're already complete. And if you're whole and complete, then if you do eat that cheesecake, that's not a failure.
No.
That's just feedback.
Right.
So part of
Information.
the coaching plan then and why it's under review all the time on a pretty constant basis is what worked, what didn't work, and why didn't that work? What got in the way? What were you thinking at that moment? What were you feeling that had you eat that cheesecake? And it might be, well, I was feeling left out of the conversation with my girlfriends.
Right.
Instead of, well, I just don't have the willpower anymore. It's like what was there? What was going on in that moment, in that present moment that had you eat the cheesecake and kind of forget that you want your husband to watch you walk out the door.
Right. And what happens, I find, and it's when I started this segment, we were talking about distractors. Typically, when you get a client to really think about what were you feeling at that moment, what were you thinking, and what did it cause you to feel, it's something they don't like. And
Right.
so they use that food or whatever the behavior is. We're talking about food, obviously, because it's that number one resolution. But they use that distractor again to avoid
The
dealing.
feeling.
Right, to
Yeah.
avoid the feeling. That's right. And so, for those of you listening in the audience, it's why I love talking with somebody like Roxanne because she's helping my clients on a conscious level make day-to-day decisions. And what I would do in working and partnering with you, Roxanne, is when your client came into me, we would just take that to that subconscious level where we're saying, okay, where does that feeling come from? Is this the first time you ever had that? Oh, no, I've had that feeling many times. Well, let's go find the very first time so we can get to the root cause of that feeling. Because typically I find people's distractors of choice are related to something way back in their past where a belief was formed about that. And so you can see this total interrelatedness. And I think it's really important. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on as my first guest is because the conscious mind, like a lot of people think, well, you know what, hypnosis will solve all my problems. Well, it's not going to do that. It's going to be a big tool like everything else. The subconscious mind is powerful. It is that emotional part that drives us. But the conscious mind is part of the team.
Right.
And we have to enlist those day-to-day behaviors in order to support and bolster what maybe I'm finding out in the subconscious mind with a client.
Exactly.
You know, because it does no good if we don't take the insights we have in a hypnosis session and then translate that into how can I change conscious behavior?
Right.
And that's where you come into play.
Right. And a lot of times, too, I find that when you're looking at unconscious and the feeling part, we use it's automatic to use that distractor to not feel. I spend a lot of time, too, training or talking or teaching my clients about their body's language. There's a lot of information that our physical bodies hold, and we're not aware of that. That's something that's very unconscious. And sometimes our bodies aren't even we just don't value them. We think we value our heads instead. And so to be able to, as a body worker and a coach, be able to point some of that stuff out to them or teaching them their body's language, which is slower. And it's about sensation and it's about the feeling.
Right.
So you have to slow down and kind of drop in to your physical self to go, oh, what am I feeling?
Right.
And in the present moment, what am I feeling?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and last week on my show, I talked about the role of the body. And in hypnosis, we refer to that as the unconscious mind, which is bodily processes. Because emotion happens in the subconscious. The conscious and the subconscious don't communicate well with each other. They don't have a way to communicate. They have very different functions. And so the body is that liaison. It is that communication place where the feeling is produced. So if I'm feeling sad, my body produces tears. And that's how now consciously I know what I'm feeling, right? So there's a difference between feeling and emotions. We have a caller on the air. And we'd like to take that call in just a second here. No, sorry about that. She just dropped off. Okay, well, hopefully you'll call back again. Sorry about that. Anyway, but that's really a really good point what you're saying. And what we know about memory is that our body does hold on to those feelings and those memories from our past. So when we walk into a place that smells like chocolate chip cookies,
we think of grandma.
We think of grandma. Exactly. And there's comfort in that, right?
Right.
And there is good memories that come back, and that sets up these triggers for conscious behavior.
Right.
Excellent.
And the body's language is sensation.
Right.
So, there's a lot of stuff out there and some research that's saying our body has a sensation of sadness before our minds recognize it, because sensation is a lot slower. So it takes a while to recognize it, which is where then, because it's slower and takes a while, our minds are quick to do the automatic habit of distracting it. So
exactly.
So we want to slow our clients down. And that's why in coaching, all the questions are so important and really thought-provoking for people to get them to start to slow down and think about what it is they want and what's their big, powerful why. And, what are they willing to be responsible for? What are they willing to commit to? Sometimes you're willing to commit to this little piece, but not this big giant piece, and that's okay. And are you willing to learn new things? Those are some other questions that come in to play in coaching also.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from you, I know before I was a hypnotist, I was a consultant, and I did a lot of systems thinking. And I noticed that in hypnosis, what I used to do with corporations isn't any different than what I do with individuals. I'm just using a different tool.
Sure.
Because when you make a positive change in one part of the system, then everything has to change. It's what you talked about when you opened about that worldview.
Right.
What we put out there, we get back. So if we can change even a little piece of that system, what we put out there changes and that feedback changes.
Right, and your outcome changes.
That's exactly right. So excellent. So we're getting ready to go to break here in a couple minutes, but I want to make sure that we finish up, and I've touched on all the important points that you'd like to make before we head on to our next question.
Yeah, I think that the coaching system, we ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. We look at current practices. We've kind of talked about that. Do you come home and sit in front of your TV and have a bowl of popcorn?
That's
and,
right.
And does that really support your belief of wanting to lose weight or get results? We look at their feelings. We look at their language. And we make sure their goals and their beliefs are aligned, because that's how you're going to get that full systems change. We make a plan, we review the plan, we work the plan. It's very comprehensive, and it's all the client is all participating in this. It's really a partnership, and I become an accountability partner for that person.
Right, and that accountability piece is really important.
It's huge.
And not so much in saying, well, I'm going to discipline you if you haven't done it right.
Right.
No, but I'm going to support you. And then if you, did fall off the wagon, whatever it is that you're doing, why did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's about feedback,
Yep.
and it's about learning from those things.
Right.
So I'm Roberta Fernandez. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Roxanne Keys, an ontological coach for the Center of Life Design here on Minding Your Health. Do you want to sleep better, lose weight, have less pain, feel less stress, or get rid of a habit like smoking? At Fair Hypnosis, we help ordinary people with ordinary everyday problems. Hypnosis is a heightened state of awareness in which you're open to new thoughts and ideas that you really want. To get the change you desire, book an appointment today at fairhypnosis.com. That's FARE hypnosis.com.
At the Shakopee Metawakan Sioux Community Organics Recycling Facility, all types of your organic materials are accepted for recycling, saving thousands of tons of organic waste from landfills each year. The Organics Recycling Facility also creates compost, a nutrient-rich soil additive ideal for organic farming, gardening, and landscaping. Compost can be purchased for your project at the Shakopee Metawakan Sioux Community Organics Recycling Facility on Canterbury Road, just south of Highway 169. Visit us today to see conservation in action.
Expedition Journal entry number 8. I continue my voyage deep into Big Buy Electronics in search of a digital camera. Near some air conditioners, I encounter a fellow explorer who points to the eastern horizon. He's heard rumors that cameras are found there. I can't help but think how much easier things would be at National Camera. The expert service, the low price guarantee, Wait! Up ahead! Could it be? Yes! No! It's just cell phones. So close, yet so far.
Finding the right camera is easy at National Camera, where we can match the big box store prices, but they can't match our service.
At National Camera Exchange, they understand just how fast life moves. Now you can capture those once-in-a-lifetime moments with Sony's mirrorless A6000 2-lens kit, now available for only $699. You save $350. Shop and save locally at natcam.com.
Holiday shopping is easy with holiday cheer and a great deal from the Park Tavern. Stop by the Park Tavern between now and December 31st and take advantage of an amazing offer. Buy a $100 Park Tavern gift card, and Park Tavern will give you an additional $50 gift card for free. Give it as another gift or keep it for yourself. This deal runs until the end of December. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, and online at parktavern.net, your holiday shopping is full of fun at the Park Tavern.
Looking for a great new read? Then stop in at Common Good Books on the corner of Grand and Snelling in St. Paul by the Macalester College campus. Their large and sunny location offers an expansive selection of titles with enough room to bring in your favorite authors and speakers from around the world. So stop by and visit the friendly folks at Common Good Books, 38 South Snelling in St. Paul. For more information and a list of upcoming events, visit them online at commongoodbooks.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're still snuggled in the house, warm and cozy. For those of you that are listening, driving on the road, please mind the road. I'm Roberta Fernandez, and welcome back to Minding Your Health. Today, we're helping you take back control by empowering you. Talking with Roxanne Keys, an ontological coach from the Center for Life Design, about those pesky New Year's resolutions that keep showing up on our lists, and how to deal with them more effectively so we can get them off of there once and for all. So Roxanne, we didn't get around to this last segment, so let's start out this segment with how is coaching different from counseling?
That's a great question, and a lot of people kind of get confused with that. So coaching is a really helpful method that helps you move forward and toward the future. It focuses on exactly what you want to achieve, and the coach helps you get there a whole lot faster than you can get there by yourself. And it's not about looking at the past and healing that wound. The counseling is really about looking at what's happened to you in the past and where your wounding comes from and really healing that wound. And the counseling is really about moving forward and improving your lifestyle and meeting your goals. And it uses that intense accountability that we talked about and motivation.
Yeah, and I think there's a similarity there too with hypnosis in that we don't focus on the problem.
Right.
We spend enough time talking about the problem so we understand it.
Right.
Right. But I don't spend a lot of time on that. You know, my belief is that the conscious mind is analytical. Most people's problems are emotional.
Right.
And so the conscious mind's never going to really figure it out anyway.
Right.
They're going to come up with a reason, but it's not going to be accurate.
A rationalization,
correct.
too. Yeah.
That's right. It's a rationalization. And so we focus on the solution because what you focus on expands.
Right.
And so I like that idea. I know with my clients, I do a lot of what we call progression work in hypnosis and having the client imagine themselves, again, keeping with the food theme here, you're at the big holiday party, there's, a beautiful table and, you're drinking and you just want to overindulge, right? What do you do? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
And, how can you see yourself handling it in a different way than what you've done in the past?
Right.
So, so talk to me a little bit about the benefits of coaching.
Well, because the coaching is that goal-oriented approach towards life, and how you can see yourself doing something differently and that new perspective, that's one of the benefits of coaching is that it helps provide or helps you learn or see a new perspective on a personal challenge. You could come for enhancing your decision-making skills, when you have a plan and you really have the power of the why there, that's going to enhance your ability to make a choice and a decision in a tough spot, like at the big buffet table.
Right.
You gain greater interpersonal effectiveness, increase your confidence, increase your productivity, and totally increase your life work satisfaction. You're attaining relevant goals. I mean, between the hypnosis, even counseling, and coaching, all of us have the client in mind, and the ultimate goal for all three of those professions is to enable the client to have the best life they can possibly have.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really glad that you just made that comparison that we really are all a team.
Yeah,
a lot of people come to me, and I'm glad that you asked me to raise this question. Do I go see a counselor or do I see a coach? It depends on the situation and what the issue is. The answer may be both.
Or all, or none.
Right. and it really just depends. A lot of times clients will come to me first and I'll say, I really think that you need to see a therapist for a while before we start our work. work.
Exactly.
Or a therapist may send me a client because they're stuck. You know, and or I may have a client that I feel, you know, I don't do what you do. I don't support clients like that on changing conscious behavior. I am more, let's get to the emotional component and what's driving this, and get rid of those old beliefs that are keeping you stuck. And so I would look to a therapist in some cases, or you, or both, to help that client on that conscious end. You know, doing some cognitive behavioral therapy, or working with someone like you where you can meet on a regular basis or have a conversation and have some accountability there, and help that client as they grow continue to modify behaviors that are running their day-to-day life.
And that's really a big piece of what coaching is, accountability partner for those new practices, those new thoughts, and those behaviors. And as I said before, it's always in movement. It's always being adjusted. It's always being reviewed. It's always being tweaked. So it's not that I'm going to make a declaration and a New Year's resolution, I'm going to leave it and hope to God it changes this year.
Well, it's like anything else. You know, humans get better with practice, right? It's the nature of us. And it's really important that, you know, whether it's practice with how our thinking, we've been talking a lot on the first few segments of my shows here in this program on your thoughts become things. You know, the brain can't tell the difference between what we vividly imagine and what's real. And so all of those things that we're thinking or that we're saying to ourselves, either in our minds or out loud, like I'm so stupid, or gosh, I always overeat when I go to a party. You know, all of those things are really important. That we, and again, that goes back to where we started with the show, right?
Worldview.
Support
your worldview.
It's the worldview. And so a client may not even hear themselves saying
that.
Those things.
Exactly.
And so that's where we can come in and say, you know, with love and gently, you know, have you listened to the words?
Do you know that you just said blah, blah, blah?
Right.
And I've had clients, I've done that with clients, and they go, what, really?
Right.
So, yep, those are the exact words.
Exactly. And so we can help the client reframe not only the words, but their thoughts and their behaviors. So, Roxanne, if people wanted to find you, how do they go about finding you?
Well, the best way probably is my website. It's at www.lifedesignmn.com. And there's all the information on there on the services, and you can even schedule online. Woo.
Awesome. I know. We like to make it easy for people, don't we? Yeah, I know. It makes my life easier, too, I have to tell you. If people had to wait to talk to me between clients and everything else I'm doing,
might
you know,
not
and
happen.
their busy schedules, right. If it wasn't for answering machines and Post-it notes, right? I don't know what we do. So I want to thank you, Roxanne, for joining me today, for being my first guest here on the show, and making this such an easy and pleasant conversation for me to have with you. I want to thank my audience for joining me again. I'm Roberta Fernandez from the Fair Hypnosis Center, and host here every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on AM 950 radio. You can reach me at Fair Hypnosis. That's FARE, hypnosis.com. Join us next week here on AM 950, where I'm going to be helping you take back control, and seeing Roxanne has done such a great job this morning of helping me get on the weight train here, the wagon train. Boy, that's an interesting metaphor. We're going to be starting a 3-week segment on weight loss. So we'll be talking about the emotional component next week. We'll have a segment on diet and exercise, and then on the physical aspects, we're going to have a doctor come in and talk about that. So Roberta Fernandez signing off with Minding Your Health. Have a mindful week, everybody.